Hi Stampers, today I'm going to show you how to make your own little stamp book. On our website we have these little kits. In the kit you get everything to make a little album to store your small stamps in. It's actually really good and fun to make. So first of all I'm going to show you how to build it up, and then I'm going to show you how to do some of these decorations that's on there. So what I'm using first is some graphic 45 paper. And I've cut it down. This was 12 by 12. I've cut it down so that it fits the chipboard cover with about 1 inch all the way around. Now make sure that your picture is the right way. So you need 2 of these, and then for the inside you need a piece that measures more or less the same size but just a little bit smaller, so that you've got a border all the way around, and that's going to cover the inside of your folder. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hold it and I'm going to cut a mitre into the corner. So I'm cutting to the corner and then on at an angle. And we're going to do that on all the corners. There we go. So just cutting in. There we go. And then the last one, cut in. So we take those away. What I've done, I've actually covered the back of it with double-sided tape. So I'm going to take all that tape off. I put it quite close together so that it will give you quite a good sticking surface. It doesn't always come off how you want it to. You'll notice that you've got your holes already punched in that for you, and it's already punched in your acetate that forms your sheets as well. So I want this to be the back cover because I've already got one done, just to save a bit of time. So make sure that your image is the right way and place the chipboard centrally into there. Now it's usually helpful to turn it over and get a little brayer, not your best one, just a cheaper one, roll over the back, and then we're going to put some more double-sided on there. So I'm putting it on the actual piece that's going to be folded in, on the edge, so we don't want the pieces coming up and fraying. So remember that what I'm doing now you're going to actually do twice, and I'm going to put some on the inside of the sheet as well. Chipboard cover is really quite sturdy, so it's going to be a hard wearing little folder. So we're going to take off the double-sided backing again all the way around. I love doing things like this. It's always better to actually make it yourself than it is to buy something that's done. Partly why we get into stamping and crafting in the first place. There we go. So just one more piece to take off. The little stamps that I store in mine are the ones from the Every Stamp's a Pound range. And I just find it really useful to have somewhere to store them. Right, before I put that piece on, because that's the piece with the holes, I just want to show you how we find out where the holes are when it's turned through. So I'm going to take a poker tool and I'm just going to mark in there with the poker tool on both sides. Turn it over and push it through and give it a little wiggle, because you want the paper to be on the inside and not coming back through. So we're going to then fold that over and then push through again to mark where the holes are, and then push through and wiggle again. Otherwise you wouldn't know where the holes are. Right, so I've got another piece of paper that's cut. So as you can see, we've just got a little border all the way around, and that neatens up the inside of the folder. So what I'm going to do now is take off the backing off this one, use quite a lot of double-sided tape for this, but it does make it, makes it so that it doesn't swell up and come away from the chipboard. Doesn't really matter which way this goes, so we're just going to put that onto the inside, just with the brayer to flatten that down. And then we're just going to put the holes through again. So just mark where they are and then push through from the back, just putting all those little bits on the inside. There we go. So that is how you make your cover. So I've actually got 2 of those done, and that's what they will look like when they're fastened together. So we've got the other one there, and I'm going to show you how we make the other bits and pieces to finish that off. I've used some of this Art Parts Studio 490, and this is Clearly for Art Blackout, so this is totally black, but this is what we made this little flower with. So I'm going to show you how to make that. It's really good stuff and really good fun to work with this. So what I've done is I've punched from some of the Clearly for Art Blackout with the Tattered Florals, the Tim Holtz Sizzix die, and I'm going to use our little script background and some brilliant Encore ink. Sorry, Brilliance ink would work just as well, but you need something that's going to dry, and this does dry when it's heat set. So we just need to stamp the script all over these little pieces. There we go. Just move that out of the way. And we're going to also show you how to make the flowers. Well, I'm not actually going to show you because I have got another video of that, but I'm going to put a couple of the flowers on to decorate it. So I've got those pieces here, and as I said, they need to be heat set. So I'm going to take my heat gun, and before I start to do anything with this, I'm just going to dry them first, so I'll make sure that they're not going to blur and smudge. So I'm just wafting all over with the heat gun to set that ink before I actually shape the flowers. The Clearly for Art comes in clear, white and black, and basically what happens is when it's heated it goes pliable, but as soon as it cools down it goes hard again. So you mould it into the shape you want and then just let it cool, and it will stay like that until you heat it again. So that should have done that. So I'm going to move that to one side now and show you how we finish the rest of it. So just leave them to cool down a little bit before we move on. So that's how we made that little flower. Now in the set you get a chipboard piece of you get an oval piece of chipboard like this. So what I've done is place it onto your paper, mark round it and cut out. I've already got it done, so it's a little bit quicker for you. So that then goes on there. So I'm going to put some double-sided onto this again, but I'm also going to use a bit of like a glue stick, because I want it to go right up to the edges. So I'm going to take the backing off, there, and I'm going to go, oops, right up to the edge with that, and in between. So it's, the double-sided is just like a quick fix while this actually dries. So I'm going to stick that on the top, there. Again, get your brayer, and then I'm going to sand away from me all those edges. That will just make sure that it doesn't lift, but it also takes that top layer off the edge. So when I ink on top of that, it really does give it a nice darker core. where the ink's gone. I've got a little bit of paper there, so I'm just going to trim that off, just to save a little bit of time. There we go. I will mention while I'm doing this that these are $3.99 on the website, and you get everything in there, obviously apart from your decorations. Right, so I'll just get rid of that excess there. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take some walnut stain, distress ink, and our little applicator. I'm going to ink up the applicator and just go on the edge and into the centre. You see how much darker that goes where the core was showing, where we sanded. And just to make that a little different, we're going to use this little flourish, and we're just going to use the end part. So I'm going to go directly into the ink and just stamp randomly around the edge this little flourish, like that. Then what I've done, and this is actually another video, I've got the alphabet and I've stamped the words onto some of the paper that was left over. I've actually put the words stamp. I should have had, when I get it right, I should have had stamps, so I've got a little S missing somewhere, but I'm sure it will turn up. So what we actually did with that, and I'm not going to do it because I have shown you this before, is we shape it on the sponge and then stick it down. But before I do that, I'm just going to add a little bit more colour to that, just to keep it all in theme with this little flourish. So just going to stamp over the top. We've already stamped over the top with the script, but you can do as much or as little as you want. This is the beauty of stamping. Everything is unique to yourself. So that's that. So we've got our words ready. So they are going to be done as you see in the other video and placed on here, and then we're going to glaze it. But what I did with this, and if I get a chance I will show you, I don't think I'm going to though, I got some mica powder and some mica flakes, and while the glossy accent was drying, I just picked up little bits of this and just sprinkled it into the glossy accents, and that is what makes the shine on this here. So it does really finish it off. If you look at the rose as well, we've put it on the edges of the flowers on there. So I'll just put the tops back on that because it'll stop me from knocking them over. So that's how we got the front of it done. So that is the front there. We stick that onto there, and I like to use Pinflair because I think the Pinflair is a very strong adhesive. So I'm just putting some Pinflair all over the back there. I'm going to put, make sure we've got the right one. Actually that is the back one I think. Yes it is, so I'll not put it on. That's got to go on the back. I've got to find that yet. So while I'm doing that, I'm going to show you the flowers. These are made with this little stamp. There is a video on my blog as well showing you how to do this. So I've stamped onto some more of the Graphic 45 paper. I've actually stamped five of these shapes, and this one is made out of 3 of them, and this one is made out of the other 2. So you've got 2 different sized roses. Oh, I found my other little S there. I've told you to turn up. I just can't find the back, or the front part rather, of my book. But I'm going to show you how we did this anyway. So I've got a little brad, and I've got a little cup that the brad goes into. I've pierced holes into the Clearly for Art, but it does tend to close up a little bit when you heat it, so I may have to go back through and do that again. So what I'm going to do is get the Clearly for Art pieces back, and I'm going to do, I'll do the small one first. Just be careful because it does get quite hot. So I'm just heating that. It's quite good stuff, because if you're not happy with it, you just heat it again and it goes back to the original shape. So I'm just going to screw that up, just bending some of the bits. You can see already it's cooling down. So that is the first one. So put that to one side. That's now in the shape I'd like it to be. The second one shouldn't take long to heat, just a few seconds. That's probably enough. You have to work quite fast in shaping it because it does dry pretty quickly. Just do that bit up in the middle. Yeah, that will do for that one. So that's 2 pieces. We've got this available. I'm not sure if it's on the website yet. I will ask Mark if he can get that on. We do have it at the shows, if you come into any of the shows. I'm just going to... That's it, I'd like that one like that. And then the bottom one, the big one, so you can just curl some pieces up. It will go flat again sometimes if you don't do it quick enough. I will actually show you that. Let's get this curled up a little bit like that. So that would actually set like that now. You can see that is not going to change shape, but if I weren't happy with that, just heat it again and that goes back perfectly flat for you to start again. So don't worry if you're not happy with it, just do it again. There we go, that's fine. So I'm just going to check that I've got the holes in there. There we go. Yeah. In the next one. And then in the next one. So I'm going to put the brad into the little holder, then that goes into the first one, into the second one, the third one, and lastly the large one at the back. Open out the little legs on the brad. Press that down. There we go. And then what I did on the edges, I got some of this rub and buff in silver leaf. I'm just going to put a little bit onto my fingers, a little bit too much there, you don't need much. Put it onto another finger, and then I'm just going along the edges of the flowers, and that will just highlight those petals. I'm not being too careful because I quite like a little bit messy on here. But it does make all the different layers come out. That dries very quickly as well. There we go, and that is our clearly far out little flower that we're going to stick onto the front, if I ever find my front. I think I moved it to check on the size of the sheet. I think it's over there, so I'll just go and slip away and get that for me. Here it is. So I've now got the front. You get 6 sheets of acetate, which is quite a lot when you think about putting your stamps on, and then we've got the back. So all you do is put them all together. You get your little rings in there, open that out, put it through the first one, through the acetate, and then through the back panel, and just close that up. So if you did want to add some more sheets, it's very easy to do. Just take it apart, add some more, and put it back together. So that basically is the book done. It's just a case of putting it together now. So I'm just going to put that like that. That's the book. And then I'm going to put on that little panel that I showed you earlier. There we go. The flower is actually stuck on with pin flare as well. So I put quite a big blob onto the back. I'm going to put one flower at the top there. The roses, when you've got those done, as I said, they're on a separate video. Put a nice big blob on the back. We're going to put one down there. Same with the smaller one. Cut off the back, add a little bit more. That's going to go at the side there. You can put anything else on there that you want, like your little embellishments you've already got, and then we put the words across there, but we do raise those up like we do in the other video, and then I did drop on the mica flakes and the little specks of mica as well, just to finish that off. So there we have our book all finished and ready to use. See you next time. Bye.